Unfortunately, having a church and being a pastor has become a very profitable, lucrative, and desirable profession, right? It's become a career, right? And so for a lot of people these days, being a pastor, starting a church is not a calling. It's not because you were called for a lot of these people. It's because they see a career opportunity in it. That's a lot of people. And what we're seeing is a certain formula. See, if you have for a lot of them is if you have a certain level of education, like you get your degree in divinity. But for a lot of them is if you have a certain level of charisma about yourself. You're personable. You're good at brand building. You're good at social media. You're good at public speaking. You're charismatic. You know how to be funny. You're tapped into the culture. You know how to dress. And so what's happening is more and more churches are being started as career moves for people and not callings to ministry. And the saddest part about that is you have more and more people who are joining these churches and following behind these pastors thinking that they're getting an authentic word. And to be fair, I'm pretty sure there's some people who know they're not, or who really don't have a true desire for an authentic word, but there also are a lot of people who are just being misled. Part of that you have to put on them because, if you would just open the book and read it for yourself, then you would be able to more easily discern that some of these people are fraudulent. And truth be told, this is not just with pastors. It's also with musicians. See, we got to keep it all the way real. There's a lot of people who wanted to be rich, who wanted to be famous, who wanted to be an entertainer, who wanted to have a brand and all these other kinds of things. But either they weren't talented enough to do it in the secular world, or they weren't skilled enough, to go the sports lane. Right? There's a lot of people who the reason why they're a church pastor, or they're a gospel artist, or they are a Christian influencer, weren't tall enough or athletic enough or healthy enough to make it in sports in a major way. They weren't talented enough or relatable enough or cool enough to make it in secular music, like in hip hop or in R&B. They weren't talented enough or cool enough to make it as an actor or a reality TV star. And so because they couldn't make it in the secular world, that's what drove them to the Christian sphere. Not a real and true desire for God's people. A lot of gospel artists are making gospel music because they couldn't make it making R&B music. There's a lot of pastors who have a desire to be famous, to be seen, to be on stage, but they can't rap. They can sing and harmonize enough for church, but they can't really sing like that to have a musical career. They can't make it as an actor. And so the next best thing was, I'm going to be a pastor because I do have charisma. I am personable. I am relatable. I do have stage presence. And so, hey, I can start a church, and that's just as good because I can still travel the world. I can still have fans. I can still have people hanging on my every word. I still get to stand on the stage and hold a microphone and perform week after week. Because let's keep it real. That's what Mike Todd is. Mike Todd is not a pastor. Mike Todd is a church performer. Truth be told, I'm not sure how much of Mike Todd's sermons are written by Mike Todd. Just to keep it all the way real, I think that a group of people get together and they come up with a theme or an idea, and then they come up with some scriptures to fit the theme and an idea, and then they craft a message, and then Mike Todd adds his charisma and his, stage presence and his wild antics on top of it, and that's how you get to what you get on a Sunday morning. I don't think he's sitting around studying and praying and fasting and listening to hear a word to give to the people. No, that's why you're seeing a lot of the messages that you're seeing. It's all about your time and your season and your this and your that, and you're going to be rich, and don't worry about your haters, and it's your time to shine, and all these kinds of things. The same stuff over and over. And then sow some money into the vision. Make sure you pay your tithes. If you go in a lot of these churches, it's heavy on emotions. We're going to have a praise break after a praise break after a praise break. I'm going to play the soft music behind me. I'm going to have like a concert before I speak. Then when I get up and speak, I'm going to tell you how life is about to be great for you. And then I'm going to raise some money. And then people are doing this week after week after week. You're seeing people getting up in front of the people with $1,000 shoes on and $1,000 outfits and shirts and jeans and all kinds of stuff going on. You're going on people's social media, you're seeing them traveling all over the place, and car service, and people opening doors and all kinds of stuff for them. Because Christianity has become a career for a lot of people. One way that you can tell that for a lot of people, being a pastor is their career and not a calling is because they don't feel a sense of obligation to shepherd the flock. They're so big on their career and their brand that even though they're supposed to be a pastor tending to the flock that's been assigned to them, it's nothing for them to be out of the church 2 Sundays out of the month. That's how you know it's a career. Because if you really feel as though this is the people assigned to you that you're supposed to shepherd over, how do you miss Sunday after Sunday? Because you going over here, you going over there. Especially when you look at some of these gospel artists who are also pastors. How are you going to go on tour and be a pastor at the same time? So when are you shepherding the flock if you're on tour? When are you studying to hear a word so that you can share with the people if you're touring? A lot of people don't take the office of pastor with the amount of reverence and seriousness that it deserves, because once again, they were never called to do it. They're doing it as a career. And so you guys got to be careful. You got to be mindful that you're not sitting under a career pastor as opposed to a called pastor.